everyone in HAR, and it's glad to be gathered together again.
All right, fantastic. And it looks like we're growing our chapter right now. It's getting a little bit bigger, wouldn't you say?
Yes, I think.
Okay, fantastic. So for everybody here, let me just give like a quick orientation, right? So a while back, we discovered something that was pretty helpful for understanding how the organization works. So we started realizing that that there was one thing that we had organized maybe a little bit incorrectly at the very beginning of Bukit Vista, right? At the beginning of Bukit Vista 3, Andre. So what we call essentially a chapter, a lot of times it's not really a chapter. For example, when we call HR a chapter, HR actually works much more like a squad, right? So HR has end-to-end coverage on the mission of the employee experience, right? HAR also is not really a chapter. It functions as actually a sub-squad, okay? So HAR has almost end-to-end coverage of the guest experience, right? Along with marketing, BI, and some of the other chapters that are involved. What is actually a chapter are people who share the same skill set but work on different missions. Okay, so there's the guest mission, partner mission, and the employee mission. So if you're doing, let's say, work that involves conversion, right, that involves taking somebody who's mildly interested and deepening their interest, then that is persuasion and negotiation work, okay? And that is actually the work and focus of a chapter. So what we discovered was this, that actually a lot of the techniques that we were looking to build in sales and persuasion, they didn't just apply to partnerships, but they also applied to HAR, they applied to reservations, and they also applied to human resource recruiting as well. So because we realized that these were common traits and common work skills, we decided to start forming a group that would specifically look and think of how do we actually improve conversion and how do we actually get better at sales and persuasion and negotiation, right? Which is a kind of like what brings the theme of this chapter together, okay? All right, so it developed in the very beginning, just a quick timeline. I think the first were Nadine and Wayana. They started using and studying sales and persuasion techniques and applying it to their work. They found success and they found that they could actually improve the conversion rates from leads to actually deals by applying these techniques. So then their work started going ahead, but then we noticed that there were other parts of the company that could also benefit from such skills and understanding. And if you look at, let's say, the sum of the company, we do two things here at Bukit Vista, right? So we provide products and services, and then we sell products and services. When I took a look at the company, we realized that the majority of the company is actually working on selling products and services. If you think about the work that marketing does, the work that reservations does, the work that BI does, the work that HR does, and the PR funnel, these are mostly around selling, getting people aware, and converting them into users, right? Either guests, partners, or employees. There's only a few groups of people who are actually working on transformation, and that's essentially the purpose of the product or service, right? And these are people working in air support, these are people who work on employee experience in HR, and these are people who work in community. So what we realized is that in order for the company to be strong, we need to have a strong sales, strong persuasion, and a strong negotiation culture. So we started small by just developing this within 3 people. Now we have gotten a little bit bigger every week. We first invited Gray to our last meeting. Now we're inviting the rest of HAR, and if this keeps on building up, we'll invite HR people in too. Now, it's not to have a big party, it's not to like say, oh, we're bigger, but it is so that we cover the skill sets and the understanding, and we develop a chapter awareness around the skill sets that we have. Okay, let me just go ahead and ask Alia. Alia, can you tell me a little bit about the purpose of having this group discussion and what you would like to get out of it at the end of the discussion?
I think what I would like to get from this discussion is like how to really organize a team where the structure is very clear and everyone's missions and goals are also clear, but like we can also help each other to grow, and the mission is possible to be done.
Okay, that's very perfect, because everybody's work here is interrelated, as we figured out, right? So let's say sales and BD, they bring in a new partnership. They bring in a new partnership, but then it is up to BI to give the correct forecast for that partner so that they know what their revenue projection is. And then it's up to reservations to then start taking the reservations and meet up the expectations to that forecast, right? So all of this requires a bit of sales and persuasion and negotiation techniques, which at Bukit Vista currently we're not very strong at. We have some people who are strong at it, but overall as a culture, we can definitely have a lot of improvement. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into it. We already have a discussion paper that has been developed over the past few weeks. Let's go and see which topics that we need to approach first. Oh, thank you, Kyla, for sharing the target goals and KPIs first. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of those first. Okay. All right. So this is the Kyla. Let's have you introduce some of these materials so that everybody can be on the same page.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dean. So basically, this paper is one of the. Sorry, let me repeat that. So basically, in sales team, we're trying to achieve what Aulia has said before, like the strategic planning between each of the current chapters to ensure that we have structure and a better organizations between each of us. So basically, these target goals or KPI guidelines is where we will put our measurement regarding our goals and how we can actually see whether we have put our effort to achieve that, what to improve, what we don't want to do. What we don't want to repeat. And basically, this paper is kind of our sub-note regarding how to build that final chapter.
Okay.
If we take a look at the bottom line, there is the all things sales key takeaway. So this is basically the fundamental or foundations for this chapter building.
Excellent. Okay, thank you very much, Kyla. So let's take a look at some of the topics that we've covered before, and then I think we can also take a look at some of the new sections that we have here. So, okay, I just accidentally reopened the paper. So let's see. I think last time, great, we talked about some of these discussion topics that we took from Andreessen Horowitz, who are venture capitalists that have funded companies like PayPal, not PayPal, but Airbnb, Dropbox, and a few other leading startups. So they really thought deeply about actually how to sell products and services on the internet. Similar to our situation as well. We're selling hospitality services that are essentially delivered through the internet. Okay, we've made some progress on defining some of these KPIs and these ideas, but let's go into this section this week. Nadine, which section do you think we should visit actually? So I have a dilemma, and I'll speak openly about it. I'm not sure whether to discuss what's happening here or discuss what's happening here. So this targets and KPIs and goals is a little bit more strategic. This one is a little bit more specific. It's a specific problem that is happening to BI and selling the products. Which discussion should we engage in at this point, Nadine?
Since this problem haven't been discussed to the to HR as well for the chapter that actually related, I think we can discuss this first.
Okay, so this is the September 17th discussion. Yeah, let's formulate strategies to help BI sell our products.
Yes,
Okay.
I would like to hear what HR thought about this as well.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this now as the most urgent topic to be discussed. I would like to actually ask Kyla if she could secretary on this particular opportunity here on sales and business development, and I'll share the link of this back in the chat so Kyla can open it, okay? All right, and then let's try to also get the structural part also done as well, because we need to spend some time thinking about strategy and KPIs and targets and goals. Okay, all right. Let's see how we've done. So Nadine, start us off on this discussion, please.
Okay, thank you, sir. So this is actually a problem that we discover lately.
Mm-hmm.
So BI or let's say we are as a company not being able to sell our new products, our new properties that we that BD team has brought lately, and then we're actually BD team here actually want to initiate and help BI in terms of working together to sell these products basically,
Okay.
which is will relate to HR as well and BI and also BD. So that is the main topic of this discussion, sir.
Okay, fantastic. So to simplify this, I think we already have a diagram here, right? And this is a beautiful diagram. And who do I have the pleasure of congratulating for making this diagram? Who created this diagram, please?
Kyla as the secretary, but we discussed it together when we create this together, basically. Yes.
Okay, Carla, I think this is great. This is similar. If I had seen this before, I would have recognized you also on the all hands today, because I think this is a really great way of using data to tell a story, using a visual to simplify things. We can write things in words, or we can just kind of put it up on a graph and have everyone understand it in a jiffy. And from what I understand, reading all this pretty much summarizes this particular diagram. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fantastic. Very good. Thank you, Nadine. All right, so we can see essentially what are some of the issues. And this is actually very beautiful. I can understand the story right away. So we start from the left. We have properties are not being sold, and we're looking for the root causes. Okay, so there's 4 possible root causes in these red boxes. They're not optimized for new properties. We're not maintaining inquiries or insufficient, or we don't have a great sales culture, we're not optimized yet, and we have an untouched market. Okay. All right. So on the let's
Sorry, sir. Okay, sorry to interrupt. So, basically, I think this one is kind of the notes that we're taking when discussing. But
Okay.
the final output is somewhere down below. If you can please scroll down a little bit.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
that way.
Okay.
This one is more structured, I think, with more explanations.
Okay, Kyla, how about since you guys created it, Kyla, I'll give you the floor and you can walk us through, and I will just point to whichever direction you want me to point, and I'll zoom in to whichever point you like to zoom into.
Okay, but maybe I think I need help from Kanadina as well, or everyone in BD team, since we practically discussed this together. So thank you for the chance. So basically, as you guys can see already, this is the purple one is the main problems that we're trying to solve. With you were correct. Sorry. How am I supposed to start this? Let's see. Sorry. The left side down below.
Okay, left side, lower corner. Okay, optimizing
Yes,
marketing
sir,
efforts. Okay.
Yes. So basically. Sorry, Kanadin, do you think we should just jump into it, or we should explain the previous one, because Mr. Jing has said the correct assumptions. You have explained it correctly, sir.
I think we should explain the first one first,
Okay.
Kyla.
Let's have Kyla explain it in her own words. Yeah. And,
Yes,
and then
yes.
we'll start from there.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, so the purple one is the properties not being sold is basically the main problem that we have. With the red colors, rectangle is basically the hypothesis or the root causes that we are trying to that we think is the main reasons as to why the properties are not being sold. And then the white ones is you can say it's so when you try to measure something, you need to have certain indicators, correct? So if I'm saying that we have low efforts on maintaining inquiries or the effort is insufficient, then we need to measure it quantitatively. So how to measure it? I think both 2 indicators that we can use is the follow-up engagement rate and the persuasions.
Okay.
The white ones is the indicators to measure that, and then the yellow ones is actually the solutions that we're trying to give, but it's very abstract, it's very general.
Okay.
If you take a look, so basically after for the four root causes, we've decided that we would focus on the last one, that is the untouchable market. This idea comes from Canadian. So based on her experience also, she thought that we have certain market, especially in Yogyakarta, that has not been covered yet. So Yogyakarta is basically alive. There is so many activities there, but the canvasser is only one freelancer, and we haven't expanded the market in the correct way there. So the implications would be we haven't utilized the applications for referral that way there, and we also have a low marketing efforts or awareness focusing on Yogyakarta. From there, we decide to focusing more on the low marketing efforts. Yes, correct. Thank you, sir. That one, that corner. So our recommendations is to optimize the marketing efforts. Why? Because we have two hypotheses. The first one being we have an optimized market in Yogyakarta, like we said before. And the second one is that, yeah, Yogyakarta is alive. It has many queries and demands in Java area. Also, we don't need flight travel from Bali to Java, etc. So how we actually try to solve that, we go to that corner. So how we tend to give solutions to that, we will increase efforts on advertising. How? There is three main ideas that we propose. There is Twitter threads, advertising on TikTok, and advertising on Instagram Reels. This idea came from Aulia as well. From those ideas, before we make any other actions, we actually need to have some proof, correct? So if you can take a look at the right call, yes, this right paper. So we need to have supporting data to support our recommendations, because basically if you take a look at the paper, we have the first milestone is to make a market sizing from BI, and then give the result to marketing, convince them that we actually have the market there. So the resource allocated to that area is not, it's not over forecast. And then it goes on to HR to recruit a content creator with the characteristic that we have set on the flow chart. Sorry, it's jumping from there and here. That's basically it, sir.
Okay, that's actually very thorough and a really good explanation. Thank you for delving into this universe here. So thank you very much, Nadine, Kyla, and the group that Wayana, whoever made these things. I think that was a very clear presentation. Here's a few things that I need to discuss. Right, we decided to go on this particular branch over here. But here's one thing I know. Hiring a content creator is a very blocking step, right? We don't know when we're going to actually be able to hire a content creator. It could be next week, it could be 3 weeks, it could be 6 weeks, right? So we're approaching a space that is it's uncertain when this missing piece will come in. So we have a dependency on that. So how do we intend to address that? Let's go over to Nadine. Nadine, what do you think about that? If we don't know when we can hire a content creator, what do you think about this particular strategy?
Okay. Since the conclusion of the last discussion between BD and BI is the needs of this content for the advertisement is we could say it's urgent. Actually, I'm talking about in Bali. In Bali, since we have most of the community team in Bali, so we're trying to do that. We're trying to spend some of our bandwidth to do that, to create the content for while offline canvassing or while we go to the property. So we decide to do that. But for the Jogja itself, I believe we have some team as well there, but we haven't really discussed for them to do that.
I see. So here's my question, actually. For content creator, what you're saying to me, Nadine, it sounds like this, right? It sounds like we have people who make content, but they're focusing on Bali. They should focus instead on Jogja. Is that kind of like where we're going here?
Actually, this is to discover the objective is to discover the Jogja market.
Okay.
Right? Because in Bukit Vista, our performance in Jogja is so low.
Yep.
While everything tourism, I can say in Jogja it's quite operating at the moment right now.
Okay, very good. Okay,
Yes.
that is actually an interesting point. We're going to kind of briefly go off to a strategical discussion. Let me bring in Vidi. Vidi, welcome. How you doing?
Hi, sir. Good, sir.
Okay, Vidi, you're in Jogja right now, right? And
Yep.
Vidi has seen a few things, and let me give the context also available so that everybody can see this. We had a discussion a few weeks ago on leadership, Vidi, about the sort of the three segments of marketplace, right? Oh, here it is, the accommodation Bali market appraisal. Let's go to Nadine. Nadine, are you aware of this appraisal that we had made in leadership a few weeks ago?
I think I haven't.
Okay.
Aware.
Let's go over this real quickly. Kyla, have you seen this appraisal yet yourself?
Once.
Okay. Babe, Wayana, have you seen this appraisal yet?
Yeah, I think you saw us in the BD discussion.
Okay. Here's
yeah.
here's the thing that we need to keep in mind, right? Green is essentially the most stable, but it's also the smallest market. Okay, so green is stable and small. These are people who are living in Bali at the moment. They are renting long term. They're the people who are staying in villas for 6 months or a year. They're essentially paying the lowest rates, but they have the least amount of. They're the most stable, right? They're not affected by travel laws because they're staying in Bali right now. Yellow is the second largest market, and these are domestic travel. These are the people going to Jogja, going to Bali, traveling within the space of Indonesia, who are coming from Indonesia. Red is the biggest market, and it is international travel, but it's also the least stable because things like travel restrictions, quarantine, this affects the red market the most. But it is also where most of the money is. Most of the market size is in the red. Now, Vidi, based on let's filter it through the context of the timing right now, the Bali airport being open,
Right.
our best prediction of what's going to happen. Do you believe that the focus on Jogja would still be a correct assumption?
One thing to ask is actually where, like the data from Nadine is anecdotal, right?
Yes. Okay.
Because even when we had the results farewell offline, the tourism area was still closed last week.
I see. Okay. Got it.
So that's one. And then based on the news right now, the top fund, the category one will be become broader. There will be more market in the top one,
Right.
although it's still more difficult compared to previous
Okay.
before COVID.
Got it.
Because there are still quarantine restrictions. I think Mo also read from Tampayan, the one that Tampayan shared, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, there is a quarantine policy of 8 days quarantine. Traveler must pay and contact hotels directly for pricing and condition. And there are already quarantine hotel lists. So
I saw it. Mostly needs to do it, right?
Yep. So
Okay.
currently, the one that if you want to have an easier access to the first one is actually to get into how to get ourselves into those lists.
Yes. Okay, that would be interesting, and that would be okay. So let's understand this, everyone. Right. So we have a few decisions that we can make here. If we wanted to, let's say, get into the red band, what we risk is we might work up, get into the list, but it might be all in vain because another variant of coronavirus comes out and that shuts down travel again, right? So it's a big reward, but it's also a very unstable situation, right? We could target yellow, which is a lot more stable. As I think Kyla also mentioned, this is internal Java to Java travel, so probably less affected by laws and restrictions. Who knows? But okay, less so than international travel. So we have, I guess, to pick our poison here, right? We have to figure out, okay, which particular risk level are we most comfortable with? Do we want big risk and big reward, or do we want medium risk and medium reward? Let's go with this anecdotal evidence right now. So part of this analysis video is BI asking about the market size of, let's say, the Jogja market. Do you think that this information can be assembled in a relatively quick business-like fashion?
We do have I just checked in the link that you gave. Travel Insight, Google Travel Insights.
Okay. Oh, excellent!
Yep.
Fantastic.
It does increase actually for accommodations and also flights, I believe.
Really? Okay.
Hotel Insight and Destination Insights
Okay.
both showed an increase in Jogja.
Oh, right. I like
But
the sound
also,
of that.
that's also what happens in Bali if I check. Indonesia first.
Okay, Indonesia. Yep. Okay.
Yep, and then continue, then Yogyakarta.
Yeah. Okay.
Yogyakarta.
Okay.
With a Y. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Let's take a look at that.
And it does increase actually.
Okay. So let's try to figure out where we should deploy our resources then at the moment, right? We obviously need to hire more content people because it seems like it's a bottleneck. Both Bali and Jogja need content people, right? Or we just need to distribute more content skills, right? Like Andre kind of actually showed us how that could be done, right? Andre's not an event person, but he actually came up with an event that was actually pretty inspirational, right? Because he had the skill sets there, and we unlocked them. So there's kind of like two directions we can go. We can either harvest more content capability from within the existing employee population, but then maybe pay with that by reducing, like, let's say, productivity in their main focus, or we can hire, or we can do a little bit of both, right? We can ask people to kind of think about how to create interesting content while we find permanent people to do it. So there's a few outs that we can do to gather resources. Vidi, based on what you can understand right now, where would you make the bet? Would you bet on red or would you bet on yellow first?
To be honest, based on the supply itself, actually, what I'm considering is actually the supply that we have in Jogja. Nadine, cross-check me. For Jogja, the new property that we just onboarded, what is the biggest issue with that one? Or like, because the supply that we have that's working, Rumah Noni, Omah Gerjen, Rumah Budi Susanto, and House of Gumbala, right? From Mexican Andre. And those are competing as well with the owner, I believe.
Oh, terrible. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's one. So the problem with Jogja is the supply.
The quality of supply, right, is really
yes,
low.
the quality of the supply.
Okay.
It's a bit, yeah.
Okay,
But
and the
in
quality of the
Bali,
relationship
it's like-
is not perfect, right?
Yep. For Bali, we have the supply, and we're just waiting for the influx, because what is shown in the hotel insights actually is a Google search trend, right? If I'm mistaken, if you go to the hotel insights again, sir, hotel insights and go down.
Oh wow.
This is the search trend. So basically, even though it increases, it doesn't mean that this is like the travel from Google Maps. It
see.
is like more like how many people searches for this particular location.
I see.
It means if people search, then there is a window or a delay between the search and actually the travel, right?
I see. Okay. Got it. Okay, so we're seeing some anecdotal things happen on the ground, which leads us to believe that there is more travel coming in Jogja. But when we look online, it seems like the data might not necessarily indicate the level of excitement that we sort of are expected to believe. So I think we need to ask ourselves then, is Jogja right now more of a pathway to recovery, or is it a distraction? And should we just focus more?
Yeah, maybe I would like to cross-check with Nadine actually regarding the supply fitness of Jogja property. According to your feasibility, do we have that at least? Because we do have more supply in Bali at least, right?
Yes, we do have more supply in Bali.
Yeah, I mean, in Jogja, how ready are we to actually get that? And if we don't have right now, how quick can we get that to acquire the market, for example?
No, actually, like this, Vidi. So the first problem, the problem that raised by BI yesterday, on the last discussions, that we are not able to sell our property in Jogja, right? And that's why we this problem as this is actually discussing whether it is
whether
something
to discover, yeah. So not the
to
conclusion
discover,
yet, yeah.
yes, not
Okay.
the conclusion. So whether this is our inability to sell or something wrong with the market. That's the thing that we want to discuss. Actually, for hiring the content creator is one of the hypotheses for the solution.
I see.
But
So it's still hypothesis, yeah, not the
still
decision.
hypothesis.
Sorry,
That's why.
I thought it's already the decision, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why we put the market size from the eye to actually discover what happened to the market at the first priority first, right?
Okay.
So the other thing is just hypothesis.
Okay.
I see.
Got it.
Right,
Oh
right.
yeah, that's right.
So, yeah,
Thank you
we
very
got
much.
the answer
indeed.
then,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So Vidi, let's have you tell us the answer. What is the answer?
For now, according to the empirical data, it shows that we should aim for Bali for readiness and then Jogja is the second priority. Although both have increased in the like Google searches and also potential market, but the one that's ready and is to be prioritized is Bali.
Okay, got it. Let's see.
Yeah, we
Vidi.
can see in Bali as well. Yep.
Okay, let's do this. I'm gonna delegate this to Kyla, right? Kyla, would you be able to also?
Screenshot.
Yes. Okay. Oh yeah. Let me share this link with Kyla. Kyla, on your own time later, please take a look at this as well, because I think you look at numbers and you understand strategy fairly well for this group. Okay. So see if you see anything that has, let's say, any potential that corroborates what Vidi just said. So it's a good tool, everybody. Just to let everyone know, there's travel insights with Google, and they specifically tailor hospitality metrics and data so that we can figure out what is going to happen. Okay, so this is a cool little tool. I'm going to let Kyla explore around with that a little bit. And Vidi, thank you for sending us in the correct direction. So now we know we should probably not look too much on this branch right here on the untouchable market then. Should we focus more on the top 3 up here then, Kyla?
Kyla, your mic. Who are you talking to, sir?
Yeah, I'm asking Kyla. If she believes we should focus, because just before, what I understood was we were going to go and focus on this branch here, right? And as a result of that branch came all the other supporting documents, right? But it seems like after we've had our discussion here, these 3 red boxes are where we should focus the remainder of our discussion today. What do you think, Kyla?
Yes, maybe we can try to focus on that because we haven't really explored that options much.
Okay, let's do this. I think it's actually thematically correct because we are here to talk about persuasion negotiation, and we are here to talk about improved sales culture. So let's kind of take a look and unpack this stuff, right? There are some really, really good things here. Kyla, do you believe that we can create KPIs that measure these things in the white?
Yes, should be.
Okay, how do we create a KPI for the level of persuasion?
Maybe the rate of engagement.
Okay, rate of engagement. Okay, all right. Let's roll this ball. See what comes next. Nadine, how would you come up with a KPI for a low persuasion, for persuasive enough?
Like how many strategy that they've been applied for one conversations.
But that's hard to measure. That's like you would have to like go in and count everything. Okay. Engagement rate. Yes. Engagement rate is quantifiable, says Vidi. Vidi, how do we quantify engagement rate in a way that data science would be able to quantify? Okay, maybe we don't have Vidi there. How about this? What is a number that would be really simple, really quick to measure that would tell us if somebody was especially persuasive? Let's go to Andre. Andre, what do you think that number could be? Call to action attempt. Okay, call to action attempt, Andres, are these are going to be difficult to measure, right? How do we somebody has to go and read all the conversations and the result. Okay, Kyla's on the right pathway here. So perhaps what we can do is this. Are you guys familiar with this idea, a batting average? Okay, a batting average is a very interesting phenomenon. A batting average is this. So let's say somebody plays baseball, right? They're playing baseball. They get thrown a ball. They get thrown 1 ball, 2 balls, 3 balls, 4 balls. They hit the 4th ball. Their batting average is 1 out of 4, 25%, right? They can hit 1 out of every 4 balls. Then that indicates that they're a 25 hitter, right? If they hit all 4 balls, then they're magical, they're godlike, then they're a 100 hitter, right? Nobody hits that many times. Can we use that analogy and apply it to how we actually use, how we come up with a persuasion metric? What do you think, Vidi? Oh, I think Vidi's offline. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
That's interesting. Could be, but to be honest, I'm still not sure about the technical. I'll have to read more about it.
Okay, let's go to Gray. Gray is working on this particular topic. Gray, what do you think? Could we apply this idea of a batting average to, let's say, inquiries? Like we create a KPI for how many inquiries did this person receive and how many were converted. And then we could do that across different profiles too as well. So we have KPIs of, let's say, profile performance, and then we have KPIs of reservation agent performance, essentially inquiry conversion rate. Yes, but a personal inquiry conversion rate, right? So that way we can see how every performance is. So in the instance of baseball, every you can see kind of like every different player. Wait. Let's see. Batting average, leaderboard. I think you can see it here. Okay, like that, right? Is that it? Something like that, okay? Something like, okay, you can see what each player and each one of what their batting average is. So if we apply that, then we have essentially a KPI and a measurement for persuasion. Do we not? Let's go to Kyla. What do you think?
Sorry, I lost you there, sir. Can you please repeat?
Okay, so let's say the KPI for persuasion is number of successful deals, bookings divided by inquiries, right? So you get 10 bookings, you get 30 inquiries, so that is your conversion rate. That's you're a 30% converter, right? Or 33% converter.
That can be, but I was thinking about we divide the persuasion KPI based on each activity. So maybe we block it from the BI attempts and HR attempts, and yeah, we the combinations of KPIs from each of the attempts can be used to define the main one.
Okay.
I don't know if I tell this correctly.
Okay. Tell me what the difference between an HAR attempt and a BI attempt is.
Between BD and HAR, I think to measure if the success and persuade the people in the partners in BD, it's more of how many first meeting we have. We've concluded based on the persuasion that we have made.
Right.
Or maybe from HR, it's different. Like it's more like how many deals maybe.
Correct. Okay, so we're getting kind of like an idea of this particular SLA. Wait, I think that was a good time to actually take a look at our overall chart and understand a little bit more about how an SLA is born, right? So let's kind of take a look at the SLA. I know this thing is kind of, there's all these pieces moving, but I'll try to simplify it, right? What an SLA is at the end of the day is some sort of input. What a KPI is a way for us to measure something, right? And the SLA is the way that we sustain that KPI. So the KPI receives some sort of input and there's some sort of output, right? And that creates essentially what the SLA is. So let's say, for example, we set a persuasion index, right? We set like, all right, the SLA for inquiries is 28% or 30%. Okay, so 30% of inquiries must be converted. So then we can kind of understand, okay, the input is an inquiry, the output is the booking. Let's say for sales and BD, the input is a lead and the output is a deal. So then that would actually indicate individually how persuasive somebody was, right? If they're able to close at a higher rate, they get more deals per lead, they get more bookings per inquiry. That would kind of indicate this person is more persuasive, right? Right? Okay. Vidi, double check me on that one.
So for inquiry conversion itself, like the overall number, we do have the number.
Okay.
It's just that we do not, create the betting average for per individual.
So that goes to sales culture, right?
Yeah. Number one, maybe because, sales culture again. Yeah. For Facebook yesterday, I actually showed Gray how we can actually do that in Facebook.
Okay.
And we're constructing a system for that. But for Airbnb inquiries, we're not sure how to measure it.
Right, because there's different passes, right? There's different people who are involved in the nurturing of a particular deal, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Not only that, for the all inquiries are like that, but essentially there's the main one, right? The main host, the main reservation team, individual.
Okay. Andre brought up a really good point too about the time to close the deal, right? So that indicates to me that that actually should be kind of integrated into the KPI as well. So maybe it's the conversion rate per time unit as well. Because if you, let's say, have two people who have the equal conversion rate, who's more persuasive? The person who did it in a shorter amount of time, right? Right.
Yeah,
So
and
that
also
would.
the number itself, right?
Mhm.
Because the more try you have, perhaps the lower inquiry conversion rate, as opposed to like more time spent on just one inquiry and
That's
a high
true.
inquiry conversion rate.
That's
But
true.
yeah, that
Okay.
depends on how we want to like not really penalize the cost function, right?
Right, right. Okay, let's not get too sort of sunk into it. I think let's do this, Vidi. I believe we can come up with a KPI for this, right? I believe we can come up with a KPI that is culture adapted and suitable for the conditions and the quality of our teams. So let's do this. Vidi, would you be able to propose a KPI for persuasiveness, and then that way we can attach it back to this document. But okay, we need a discussion topic around this, right? So let's do this. Kyla, would we be able to start a discussion topic and drive these KPIs down, right? Because question, Kyla, which document do we go to?
Okay, so I'm thinking about the KPI. Why don't we just move to the target goals and KPI guidelines?
This
And
one here,
basically,
right?
We're going to focusing on that.
Okay, fantastic. Then, Kyla, I need your guidance here. Which area should we put the continuance of this discussion? Like, if I want to delegate to Vidi to come up with a KPI for persuasion, do I put it in the discussion here, or do we put it like over in the notes in this section here?
Yes, just put it on the discussion section for
Okay.
now, sir, before we have any conclusions regarding
Okay.
the final.
Fantastic. Okay. Kyla, please set that up for us, right? So, Vidi, do you think that we can establish that, let's say, before the next meeting on Tuesday?
Yeah, to be honest, establishing that is quite simple, right?
Okay.
The difficult part is to actually, from my experience, we have to manually take note of all the number of inquiries, number of converted, how many calculate, what's the duration, and so on and so forth.
Okay. We have to
That's the
manually
issue that
measure
we
it.
had
Okay.
before, yep.
Then, if we have to, yes, over to Andre. Your input, Andre.
Just actually, if it's related to persuasion, can we try to make like the persuasion KPIs like communication, like it's like we need to measure the timing, we need to measure the message, the channel, and also I think the person. I think if I'm honest, but three main things.
Okay. So Andre's looking at like essentially communication strategy, right? So who's doing it? What message are they using? And what's their timing? And what channel are they using to get the most effectiveness? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I think that.
I think what Andre is referring to is actually the process, right? So the process right now, Andre, is a secondary discussion. We're going to discuss that in a little bit, but we're trying to evaluate the quality of the process, right? How do we evaluate the quality of the message, the quality of the channel, the quality of how this person is using the timing? So we need to establish a KPI to see who is successful, right, at doing this. Once we establish that, the next step is to understand what are they doing, right? And can we duplicate that particular set of processes? Wayana, babe, I think somebody was shadowing you for a while, trying to understand how you were able to do a certain negotiation that somebody else couldn't do, right? Do you remember what the context was there?
I think was Lilis mentioned somebody to shadowing, but no one shadowing me yet.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's not good then. So let's say.
So basically, just want to share the experience. It's like inquiry is about really the engagement and how much you want to help them. So because from that.
Oh, right. Was it the host today? Was
right.
it?
Did Vaya have
Vaya,
a discussion with you?
Yeah, for shadowing, for shadowing not yet, but
only discussion ya berarti ya.
That was like a week ago when I was canvassing. Yeah.
Okay, so to connect to Andre's discussion, Andre, once we actually have the KPIs, we can start seeing who is doing really good.
I think we are working on it on the.
Okay, good. And then whoever's doing good, they can share their processes, and then that would that would essentially improve the sales culture, right? And get the rest of the team to perform at a high level. Now, okay, so I believe we can come up with a KPI for persuasion. Vidi, to tackle the measurement issue, one of the simplest ways is just to do a random sample set, right? So you pull a random sample set and you go, okay, all right, so let's see, like if you can't measure the whole thing, then just measure 3, 3, 3, 3 from everybody and see what comes out. What do you think about that? Not perfect.
Not perfect, yeah. I don't know. 3 seems like, let's say we have, maybe how many inquiries do you think we have, Andre or Gray, per day? Like, how many inquiries do you handle, overall per day? Maybe like 200 or
A bit.
20, Gray, maybe? Yeah, so that's 20 multiplied by, like, let's say 7, then 140, then you take 3, it's...
We have 140 inquiries a day? Wow. That's...
No, a week.
Oh, in a
Multiplied by
week.
a week, right? That's 7,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it doesn't sound too off though. Like in Airbnb itself, we do have like at least 10, 20 inquiries, and then from Facebook as well, right?
I see.
Nadine's account especially.
Okay, got it. Let's move on to that problem later because that's a technical issue, right? But let's establish what the KPI should be if it were perfect, and then if we have to change our expectations on how to measure it or do whatever, then we'll arrive that at a secondary discussion. But let's kind of like start with what the clearest picture would give us, and then work our way to what is the practical solution. How's that sound like, Vidi?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Let's then move on to the next thing. So we have low follow-up engagement rate. This one's okay. Is that inside persuasion, Kyla? If we have good follow-up engagement, then we had good persuasion, right?
I think persuasion is different than engagement. Persuasion is the way you talk, how you gonna like make them interesting or you sell them. Engagement is like more into like how fast you how
contact them.
intense you are basically engage with them because
Got it. Timing then, perhaps, yeah, as Andre was saying. Okay, but I think overall it's still part of persuasion, right? Think of like a more persuasive person. Are they generally more engaging or less engaging? Generally more engaging, right? Like imagine a person who's not very engaging giving a public speech. Hi everybody, welcome to this session now, and that's great that you're all here. But imagine like somebody who's really animated and like really engaging, right? So engagement, I think, could be a sub KPI of persuasion, right? So if we say you're not persuasive enough, what am I doing that could improve? Well, you need to improve your engagement, right? You need to improve your, such and such. So you could say persuasion is the big KPI, and probably engagement is a supporting KPI. Or not? Or are they two separate things? Let's go to Kyla. Kyla, what do you think?
I'm not sure about this one. I want to offer this to Nadine.
Okay, Nadine, what do you think?
Yeah, it is supporting the persuasions.
Yes. Okay. How can we be sure, everybody? Because remember, what is the input and the output, right? The input is always opportunities, right? And the output is success cases. So the input could be leads, and the output is deals. The input could be inquiries, and the output is reservations, right? Bookings. So the input to output success is how persuasive you are, right? And engagement is an element of what makes somebody more persuasive. If you're far more engaging, you respond really quickly, you get back really fast, that generally is persuasive because it makes the other person feel confident that you know what you're doing, right? And that is a form of persuasion that, I relax. I trust that you have my best interests in mind. So I think this is important because it helps you kind of like develop a hierarchy of information. You know that, okay, there's the big goal, but how do I break the big goal into smaller goals, right? Makes sense, yeah? Okay, and then that can actually then take a look here. Not optimize sales culture. Motivation. Let's talk to Kyla about this. Low motivations. All right. Motivation is a really interesting topic. How do we understand motivation? How do we measure motivation? How do we KPI a motivation?
I think this one comes from. Wait. So sorry. Can you zoom out, please?
Sure.
I haven't opened the document. Oh, okay. So the conflict is did not optimize sales culture yet.
Mm-hmm.
So this comes from Canadian, I believe. Yeah, because our hypothesis was that we still got maybe not most of us still got low motivations to. To just own the goals, like we have different kind of motivations to make us going through that.
I see.
How am I supposed to say that?
Okay.
Please elaborate.
All right. So Vidya asked, how does HR measure motivation? A few ways. Motivation, I think, is two things, right? There's quantitative and qualitative motivation, right? Quantitative is more like, what is motivation? I think it's endurance, right? What is endurance? It's a load divided by time. Right? How much of a load are you sort of pushing over how much time you're pushing it? If you're pushing a high load over a very long time, you have high endurance, right? Think about that. Think if you're carrying a very heavy backpack and you carry it for 100 days, right? That means you have more endurance than somebody who carries the heavy backpack for 20 days, okay? So it's like kind of like the load multiplied by the time you're carrying that load. That is your quantitative endurance.
Yep.
The other,
how do we translate it to like the sales context? I guess
it could be
for example, like the load is the number of deals at the time, right? For example.
Yes, the load could be the
Something like
number of hours worked or the number of inquiries presented, or it could probably be the number of inquiries presented multiplied by the number of maybe the motivation is the number of inquiries attempted per week.
Yeah, that
Right.
would be a good start. So
Okay.
by translating the concepts that are already known.
Right.
If
So
you-
how many inquiries do you attempt a week, right? That would indicate kind of like your motivation. And then the quality of your motivation is something else, right? The quality of your motivation is this one's where it's a little bit more abstract, right? Is a person's motivation directed to transaction? Are they directed to, let's say, think about let's say the guest pyramid, right? Some people who are motivated just want to get the guest through, get the deal done. Some people want to develop a relationship with the guest. Some people want to transform the guest, right? So those are essentially different motivation, the different quality of motivations as well. So you have two dimensions. One dimension is the how much motivation do you have, and then the second dimension is what kind of motivation do you have. And I think both kind of need to be measured because we're trying to transform guests. So let's say we have a lot of motivation, but it's just to like get guests in, right? So this is like going to a, like a really busy fast food place. What's your name? Here, okay, here you go. What's your name? Here you go. Pay me, here you go. It's very transactional. And some people can do that for a very long time. It's like maybe going to a very busy, I don't know, whatever, like a place that sells a lot of bakso or something, right? But then there's like, let's say, a different kind of motivation, right? It could be like more of a luxury motivation. Somebody's taking their time to explain things to you, to nurture you, to develop the guest, and it's very slow, right? This is, I think, what you were saying earlier, Vidi, about Andre and Gray's work. This is taking more time to develop a deal, but also making a connection with that particular guest and transforming them. So I think this, everyone, is very important for us to remember that if we measure the KPI, it needs to have, I think, two dimensions. There should be a quantitative dimension and a qualitative dimension. Otherwise, what we'll get is only, let's say, low amount, transactional, but not any transformational transformations. Right, Vidi?
Makes sense, yeah.
Okay, so all right, here's a tricky one now. It seems like then, okay, we have 3 minutes. Okay, so we know we need to come up with a KPI for motivations. Let's zoom out while we still have 3 minutes and take a look at the overall big picture, right? So let's try to prioritize a little bit. We know that this is something we need to work on. How do we get properties sold, okay? We know that these are the three chief root problems, and these are the solutions that we have to actually improve the problem. These are the things that we need to measure, and these are the potential solutions for those problems. We know that we're going to deprioritize this segment over here for the moment, right? Until proven that Jogja is an important, let's say, market to go in. So then we know essentially that by defining the KPIs for this, it will help us establish these solutions and measure if these solutions are actually working or not. Okay? That's the roadmap that I see. Does anybody see anything different? No?
I guess it's pretty aligned because so as a context, what we did last week is decide, like, we did an analysis between BD and also BI on each of the properties, and basically find out underlying patterns that might cause the property not to be sold as well.
Okay.
And we got some key takeaways. For example, like there is this thing about the low ceiling or versus high ceiling, and also something like with wooden property.
Okay.
So that's specific.
Wooden and spacious.
Yep.
Hey.
Yep. So those kind of thing actually is one of the way we can actually tackle this issue as well, by doing the like deeper analysis to each process as well.
Kyla, does that, what Vidi just said, sound like this top issue here in the red?
Yes, the guideline for our new marketing.
And this one was also addressed because for now, each new property do not have the same treatment.
Understood.
As well.
Okay.
So that's also addressed and also being tackled by Liz, I believe.
Excellent. Okay, so that actually brings up a new question, Kyla. It brings up, what is the KPI for this, right? What is the KPI for BI to discover what is the optimization potentially that would enhance the marketing of a particular property? We probably need to put that into. So let's come with some goals, everybody. So let's go back up to the target and KPI goals. I think we should have 3 goals here. The 3 goals should be this, right? What is the KPI for solving red problem number 1? What is the KPI for solving red problem number 2? What is the KPI for solving red problem number 3? Once we have those KPIs, that will give us a vision, right? We know which direction we need to go. And then in subsequent discussions, we go and talk about systems. We talk about the systems of how we're actually going to improve persuasion, negotiation, sales culture. We talk about the systems of how BI is going to optimize and define guidelines for marketing. We talk about the systems of how we're going to train people to do persuasion, negotiation, and have everyone accountable for what they are able to sell and deliver and reward them accordingly. Yeah? Does that sound like the right guideline, the right pathway? Let's go to Nadine. Nadine? Yes? No? Maybe?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Let's go to Vidi. Vidi, what do you think?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So we know what we need to do next. Let's do this then. Nadine, let's delegate the low motivation one to you. All right. Give us a KPI by next week for how we measure motivation. Talk to Kyla, talk to Wayana, talk to whoever you want, but let's come up with how we can actually measure if our sales culture is actually getting stronger, right? And getting more and more definite. I think Vidi will measure the persuasion one, and Vidi, I think this is where you can also go and think about what are the subcategories of persuasion. Engagement, time to close, all these particular factors. And Andre and Gray, I think, can actually offer a lot of insight about how that works.
Yep.
And the last one is guidelines and timing. I think this is something Lilith then Vidi needs to work at, right? She needs to think about what is the KPI for measuring if a property has been successfully optimized. Have we discovered the correct attributes like spacious, wooden, to position it in the market in a unique way? So Lilith then I think should come up with a KPI for that. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sound good.
Okay, great. So Kyla, we're setting foundations now, right? This is great. So this is as we had envisioned. The chapter is getting together. We have goals. People know what they need to do. And we've been able to integrate this all together. Okay, so that's pretty much the end of the meeting. Thank you, everybody, for coming in today. I want everyone to be here because this is actually important. Andre, Gray, Ollie, I know maybe we didn't get a lot of speaking opportunities, but this is how we actually set the culture for doing sales now, right? We know what our goals are, and you know how we form the goals too as well. So, and you're participating in this process. And so later on, when we add more people, they will also understand the origins and the genesis of how we created this culture, okay? So this is a pretty foundational meeting, I think, that is, you're all like chapter board members now. So this is fun. Okay. I'm 3 minutes over time. I'll stop talking. Goodbye, everyone. I guess Nadine. Who's
wait.
okay, babe.
I believe you record this, right?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
But can you attach one of the records as a referral letter, like someone new can just basically
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, and this is where I need Kyla's help because Kyla always tells me where I should attach the recordings. So Kyla, please Slack me and just let me know where I need to attach the recording. I'll upload it right now.
Will do, sir.
Okay.